Hello, everyone. Before you get into this very, very special episode, I kind of wanted to give some context to what exactly is happening. Now, this is much shorter than the usual podcast episode. This originally started as a simple promo video that was going to be edited down, coming before the amazing Art and Common event that I'm going to be a part of for Art Basel Miami Art Week. This is an event run and coordinated by the amazing people at Memori Archives, and I got to talk to their founder before everything started, and we just kind of rolled and got really into the conversation, and it felt so nice as kind of a kickoff for the conversation, and we loved it so much that we just wanted to share it with y'all before the event actually happened. So hope you learn a little bit more about the intention and the energy that we're bringing to this event, and if you do feel so inclined, I would love to see you on December 4th at Studio24 in Miami for our celebration called Art in Common for Miami Art Week. And I'm just rambling at this point, but I hope you enjoy this little tiny mini episode, and I'll see you there. Peace. We're good. Okay, so can you please introduce yourself and introduce the company that you founded?
Yes, my name is Hadiza. I don't know why I did that.
No, you're real. It's a good...
But my name is Hadiza. I'm the founder of Memori Archives, which is a research design studio that is exploring art, memory, philosophy, and culture. And we do this with our products, which we have our micro puzzles, books, and cards. And then we also have some forms of media and text as well, like on Substack and YouTube, that are all communicating our ethos, which ultimately is like observation, documentation, and reflection. And a little bit about me, I come from more of like a research and data science background. I've always been creative, and that's always been a part of my life. So Memori is kind of acting as that brainchild, merging the analytical and the creative, and how both practices can really benefit from each other. So that's a little bit about Memori. And on the other side, we also have been hosting these little salons, intimate gatherings. And our first iteration of them are pretty much centered around our Who Art Thou card game, which is exploring different mediums of art, which we'll dive into a little bit later. We felt like salons were really vital to just kind of a lot of our digital behavior, social behavior, and communication habits, and especially under the stress of social media and a lot of forms of digital warfare, honestly. So I felt like it was really important to try and foster a space and have connection, and people can use their agency and express and talk about art and current events in a low stakes casual setting.
Yeah, so with that, I know you mentioned it briefly a little bit about the research background. I'm so interested in the decision to have such a intense focus on physical media and things that can be used and talked about and shared in the physical space. Mm-hmm. So what was kind of that push that was this needs to happen this way?
Yeah, as being kind of like a zillennial, on the cusp, a lot of my childhood involved those physical products, and my family was also very much into art and collecting CDs and vinyls and DVDs, and going to live events. So I feel like I always had an understanding of how enriching that could be and just enjoyable personally, for me. And then obviously in this space and time, with just the digital prevalence, it feels even more vital. And I think we all can kind of feel that internal compass, honestly, kind of still yearning for those tactful things and tangible things, that are just good for the brain and are stimulating and just good for overall wellness. And I think around 2020, I felt personally a really big sense of urgency of kind of, I could see the direction and trends, specifically with social media and how it was affecting Gen Z and millennials in particular. And I definitely felt that sense of urgency and felt like there was a lane that could be carved out for our generation that was focused on these things, but also kind of catered to our needs as well. Not necessarily just looking in the past and just kind of everything nostalgia and just kind of repurposing things we did back then, kind of seeing what a modern twist on some of those things would be and how it's relevant and integrated with the digital prevalence that we can't ignore either.
Yeah. That's an amazing answer. And I kind of want to specifically talk about the card game, which is going to be a part of this event. I guess what was like the work that went into writing and formatting and processing this entire thing? Because the product looks amazing. Like the
Mhm.
content is amazing. So like I want to get the answer for that first question, but then also just know like how long it took to make it
Yeah,
physical.
those are good questions, especially because Volume 1 and Volume 2 were created a little bit differently,
Yeah.
and they weren't created at the same time. Um,
Mm,
so with Volume 1, music was really like the inception, like was like how the idea kind of formed of like connecting with others through music. That was the idea that came into my mind. And then immediately I just knew I wanted to package it with other mediums, and like being super into film and photography just made sense to lump. And with the process, I wanted it to be very natural and very much a reflection of me. And that's what I consider kind of like my design philosophy is cognitive and reflective artistry. So I definitely wanted it to honor that. But I also knew I wanted to like make the questions really, really good.
hmm
Like I was like, I'm gonna make the best questions for this card game. Like I wanted to
Yeah.
bring a lot of intention to card games. I didn't want it to feel gimmicky. I wanted it to be a
Yeah.
very serious product. So I kind of just like went with the flow, which is why like the music deck has like a lot more a lot more
hmm
questions than some of the other mediums, because I guess that's a medium I think I've been involved with like maybe the longest, like out of all the other ones. So that just came natural to me. And
Yeah.
I just had so many like questions that came up naturally. And you can see that even in volume two. I think travel has the most because I'm super into travel and space and
Yeah.
curated environments and things of that nature. So that's kind of why it's a little bit inconsistent and it's not the same amount of questions or cards for each deck, because it really was just kind of what flowed naturally and like a little bit of reflection of just like my natural interest at that time. So I always, with anything, any process, I'm like really big on refining. So I would just write questions in a little bit. I had the idea December 2023 2023, and then I knew I had a goal for myself like by the end of the first quarter of 2025 I wanted to order the first prototype. So like
Wow.
those first 3 months was just like making the questions and just refining, taking out a lot of duplicates, combining some that I felt like were redundant. And then also just like my family is like a really big help, so just constantly soundboarding off of them. And that's how the first volume came to be. And then the second volume I didn't make for maybe like 4 months later, because for the longest
hmm
I wasn't sure what I wanted like the third. I just didn't make up my mind on what I wanted the three to be. I
Yeah.
kind of had it loosely, but just hadn't made up my mind. And then about 4 months later, and then that was a lot quicker because at that point I had done the first volume. Again, same
Right.
process, which is why travel and food have a little bit more, and even the movement with dance and sport, like just kind of like tailoring it to what I think movement as an art form and is like expression and transforming tension and like again just kind of like my lens on it. So yeah, so that came, I don't even remember like how long that took. I just know it was much quicker, and came a few months after the first volume.
The amazing answer there kind of speaks to the intentionality and just like the love that you have for what you've created. So I wonder what was the thought process in creating an event like Art in Common and then choosing to do it for Miami Art Week?
Kind of like I said earlier, with just like the idea of a salon and even the utility that they have served historically, and just feeling like it could be of use right now. And then in general with Art in Common, well, I've like never thrown events before, and so I thought it would make sense for the first few versions of the salon to be centered around the card game, because I felt like it could facilitate truly like a whole salon or just like conversations. We've been doing ones like Art in Common, which we talk about all of the different mediums in art, and they kind of tend to like lead to their own conversations and just like current events and personal stories and things like that. And then also having some salons that are just hyper focused on one medium. So we've done
Yeah.
one already that's just on music, like sonically speaking, everything music, and really diving into that. And that one's like a little bit more interactive, and just go a little bit more deeper within that medium. And then again, for Miami Art Week, it just made sense to like have it be focused on all of the different mediums.
Yeah.
I've always known about Art Basel in general, and then specifically Miami Art Basel, and it's something I've always wanted to go to. And earlier this year, I was just like, I think this is the year. I think I'm just gonna go regardless. And then I
Yeah.
was like, you know what, it would be cool to like have a little event, but again, I've never been. So I kind of was
Hmm.
like going back and forth. I was like, I don't want to force it, but I also at the same time was like, I could shoot some shots. Like I could also
Yeah.
like try and make
Yeah.
this happen. Like definitely felt that as well. So things really just fell into place one after the other. And it very much felt like a indicator of like, yeah, like this is a good thing that we're doing. And I'm really excited for it. And I think Miami Art Week will just be incredible. I think I just also wanted to capture like art lovers as well.
Hmm. Hmm.
I think we would really, really just love not only the product but the event and just like
Yeah.
a space for all of us to just connect and network, whatever it is.
Yeah. No, I'm very excited for that point specifically. I think like the space for conversation is one that is usually separated from the vantage point of like a speaker and then like an audience. Even I think some of like the best events where it's just like, okay, there's a panel,
Yeah.
people are talking,
Mhm.
but I think I loved that this event, while having a panel and having people talk, it
Yeah.
was based in conversation.
Yeah, I feel like it makes sense because I feel like online, I've definitely seen this last couple of years more of a highlight or focus on just general discourse culture. And obviously, there's other factors going into it that it's really just focused on the algorithm and engagement. But there is an other actual, like, genuine part of it, especially on platforms like TikTok, where people want to have this discourse. I see all sorts of like micro, subreddits and all these like different communities having these conversations on YouTube as well. And I'm like, let's see if we can take it from digital to in real life. But people are already having these conversations. They want to have these conversations. They're looking for other people to have these conversations with. So it's really just kind of again what I was saying of just like bringing a modern twist on things that are happening now as well. And yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I guess with that, you kind of answered the question I'm going to ask already, but I'm just going to ask it so we can get the good soundbite. But what are you looking forward to people experiencing at this event?
Um, I'm really looking forward to people experiencing the questions because I feel like the answers are always different, the reactions are always different, and the cards really do mold to whatever the existing like social dynamic is. So it truly is
Yeah.
different, like completely different at every salon, to be honest. So I'm excited to see people's reaction when they see certain questions because it's very dense. Some of it's super simple, some of it's more philosophical, like can
Yeah.
music exist without, an audience or a listener and like things like that. And I'm curious to see how people will respond and what it'll invoke in them. Obviously the energy too. I think the energy is
Yeah.
like fun. It's like buzzy, mixy, like
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, from even the people that have reached out about just like the content you put together for the initial promo, they're just excited about like, oh my goodness, this is so cool to like, again, I don't think there's not too many situations outside of a personal one-on-one connection where I feel like these conversations are had this intentionally. I think you
Yeah.
go to a function and it's like you're kind of just talking to somebody like, oh yeah, what do you think about this? And what do you think? And you kind of, you have that thing. You might be in a group of three or four, but I
Yeah.
think to have people in different groups, kind of like you said, attacking so many different parts of the creative landscape in
Mhm.
conversation is going to be so interesting. I know it's going to be very loud, but in the best way possible,
Mhm.
because
Yeah,
people will
I
be like
think
laughing and talk. I'm so excited, super excited.
yeah, I think it really thrives in like more intimate gatherings too, for sure. And this will
Yeah.
be the first salon where we'll also have the micro puzzles for people to just like engage with casually as they converse. So that's exciting too.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. And so last question, where can the people find this event? Like, where is it going to be at and what time is it happening?
It will be at Studio 24. It'll be from 1 to 3:30, and I believe we'll be doing the panel around 2:15. And it's on December 4th on a Thursday of Miami Art Week. In the meantime, you can like keep up with us on our socials. We'll be promoting it there. Have an RSVP link as well. Yeah, and just like stay connected. Our socials are like pretty much all the same. And then I also have a Substack as like the founder Substacks, kind of exploring topics a little bit more deeply, some scripts, and just anything else that I observe and want to talk about or write about.
Thank you so much, and we'll see y'all there.
Thank you. See you guys there.